Part 1. The Perfect Lie. I remember the exact day I met Emma. She was standing at the edge of the bookstore cafe, holding a tattered copy of Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, her brows furrowed as if decoding secrets. I was instantly drawn to her, something in her eyes screamed intelligence and tragedy. I didn't even hesitate. I asked her what she was reading. She looked up, smiled faintly, and said, "A story about a girl who trusted the wrong people." I should have known then. We married a year later. Everything about our life seemed beautifully ordinary. Shared grocery lists, weekend getaways, late night talks about the future, and quiet Sunday mornings filled with jazz and coffee. But Emma's mother was the shadow in every photo. Her name was Lydia. Elegant, cold, controlling. She wore pearls to dinner and disapproval like a second skin. From the very beginning, I could sense she didn't like me. Not because I was bad for Emma, but because I gave Emma something she couldn't control. Freedom. Emma rarely spoke about her childhood. Whenever I asked, she'd change the topic or brush it off with a laugh. "My mom just wanted the best for me," she'd say. But that wasn't the whole story. The first crack appeared after we bought our home. It was small, cozy, a little outside the city, our safe place. Emma had decorated it with her soul. Art on the walls, warm lights, plants in corners that she'd named. One evening, I came home to find her sitting on the stairs, face pale, hands trembling. Her phone was in her lap, and I could see her mother's name still lingering on the screen. "She's upset I didn't tell her we closed the deal," Emma whispered. "She's not your landlord, Em," I replied gently. "You don't owe her an explanation." She nodded, but something had shifted. That night she barely touched her food. She went to bed early. When I walked into our room an hour later, she was crying silently into her pillow. The next morning, she called her mother. That was her biggest mistake. After that, Lydia began showing up. Unannounced. The first time, she came bearing gifts, candles, picture frames, and a veiled insult for every room in the house. "Oh, is this the kitchen? Small but quaint. I suppose you'll grow into it. Or grow out of it." Emma would laugh nervously. "She doesn't mean it like that," she told me. But I saw it. I saw how her words twisted Emma into a smaller version of herself. I saw how Lydia's approval dangled over her like a poisoned apple. And when she didn't get what she wanted, she shifted gears, subtle manipulation, guilt, and then outright lies. One evening, Lydia told Emma that I had flirted with a neighbor. A neighbor I barely even spoke to. "She told me you were overly friendly," Emma said with a nervous smile. "It's probably nothing." But doubt had been planted. Lydia began calling Emma every night. Sometimes I'd hear their conversations through the bathroom door. Harsh whispers. Gaslighting. Emma would emerge teary-eyed, say she had a headache, and crawl into bed. And then Emma started doubting me. Checking my phone. Questioning where I'd been. I didn't blame her. I blamed the woman who was unraveling her piece by piece. One night, I asked Emma, "Why do you let her do this to you?" She flinched like I'd struck her. "She's my mother. And I'm your husband," I said softly. "I love you. I'm not trying to control you. She is." Silence. Then she said, "Maybe you're just jealous because she's right." It felt like the floor fell out from under me. From then on, it got worse. Emma withdrew into herself. She stopped painting. Stopped smiling. Our home turned cold, like Lydia's presence seeped through the walls even when she wasn't physically there. And then, the ultimate betrayal. I walked into the kitchen one afternoon and saw a familiar envelope on the table, documents from a divorce attorney. My heart stopped. "What is this?" I asked. Emma looked terrified. "It's nothing. I didn't sign anything. Why do you even have this?" "I don't know," she whispered. "She mailed it to me. She said I needed to be prepared. That men like you don't last. That love is always temporary." I took her hands in mine. "Do you believe that?" Her eyes darted away. "I don't know what I believe anymore." That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and wondered how a woman could hate her own daughter so much. Hate her happiness. Hate her independence. Hate me. But I wasn't giving up. I loved Emma too much. So I came up with a plan. Part 2. The trap we didn't see. My plan was simple. I needed to pull Emma away from Lydia's grip, not by force, not through anger, but by reminding her of who she was before her mother's poison infected her thoughts. I started slow. I cleaned out her old art studio upstairs and left her brushes and canvases ready, untouched. I didn't tell her. I just waited. Then, I dug out the box of letters she had written me during our early days, back when she used to leave sticky notes with poems in my coat pocket. I placed one beside her coffee cup. She didn't react at first. But on the third day, I saw her fingers linger on the handle of the paintbrush. And then Lydia showed up again. She let herself in. Yes, she had made a copy of the key. Emma had told her where we kept the spare. In case of emergencies, Emma had said. Lydia was the emergency. I came home to find her rearranging our living room. You're making it look like a thrift shop, she snapped when I walked in. No warmth. No class. I stepped in front of her. This is our home. You don't get to change it. Her eyes narrowed. Don't raise your voice to me, boy. Emma came running down the stairs. Mom, what are you doing here? Lydia turned to her with a soft smile that didn't reach her eyes. Sweetheart, you said you were tired. I thought I'd help you straighten up. I spoke up. Emma, she made a copy of the key. She broke into our house. Emma's face turned pale. Lydia acted wounded. You gave me that key, darling. Don't let this man twist your love into hate. He's changing you. No, I said firmly. You're the one changing her. That was the first time Emma told her to leave. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. Just a soft, trembling voice. Mom, please go. Lydia didn't speak. She walked past me and paused at the door. This won't end well, she said without turning around. You'll see. I should have known she wouldn't stop. What came next still chills me to this day. Emma was getting stronger, painting again, laughing sometimes, even making jokes about us getting a dog. For the first time in months, I felt like we had turned a corner. Until the police showed up. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I had just returned from the store with groceries when two officers knocked on the door. Are you Daniel Mercer? One of them asked. Yes. You're under investigation for domestic abuse, he said. I laughed. I thought it was a prank. Then I saw Emma, frozen, horrified. The report was anonymous, but detailed. Bruises, emotional cruelty, threats. Photos had been submitted. Fake ones. I could barely process it. Emma tried to speak for me. There must be a mistake, she said. This isn't true. But it didn't matter. A shadow had been cast. And Lydia was behind it. That night, Emma broke down. I didn't believe it, Dan, I swear to God I didn't, she cried. But they had pictures. Of me. From before. When I bruised my leg on the stairs. When I lost weight. They made it look like you did it. She staged this, I said, numb. Your mother framed me. Emma looked at me with something new in her eyes. Hate. But it wasn't for me. It was for her mother. She called Lydia on speaker. I know what you did. Lydia didn't deny it. You'll thank me one day. He'll leave you. Or cheat on you. Or kill your spirit slowly, like your father did to me. You think this is love? Emma asked, voice trembling. Controlling me. Making me doubt the one person who's never hurt me. I protected you. No. You destroyed me. She hung up. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. Emma started receiving anonymous letters. Threats. Dead flowers on our doorstep. Rumors started spreading in the neighborhood. I lost a job opportunity because someone had emailed the company claiming I had a criminal record. We moved to a hotel for a few weeks, trying to breathe. Then came the day Lydia tried to take Emma away for good. It was a Saturday morning. I had gone out for breakfast. When I returned, Emma was gone. Her phone was on the table. There was a note, hastily written, "Don't follow me. She says I need help." I called the police. I called friends. Nothing. I drove straight to Lydia's estate. A tall iron gate blocked the drive. I climbed over. The house was eerily quiet. I called Emma's name. No answer. I found her in a locked guest room. She was pale, dazed, sedated. Lydia had drugged her. I'm doing what must be done, Lydia said calmly, standing behind me with a knife. She's sick, she whispered. She needs time away from you. She needs to be reminded of who she really is. I turned slowly. She's not the one who's sick. The next few minutes were a blur. I disarmed Lydia. Called 911. Held Emma as she sobbed in my arms. Lydia was arrested. She screamed as they dragged her out. Screamed that Emma would come back to her. That daughters always return to their mothers. But not this time. Not after everything. Part 3. The scars we chose to keep. Lydia was gone, but the damage remained. After the arrest, Emma and I moved into a rental in another town. The house was bare, temporary, like a hotel we hadn't checked out of yet. Boxes piled in corners. Her art supplies sat untouched. Every knock on the door made her jump. I wanted to fix things. But how do you fix someone who's been shattered by the person they trusted the most? Sometimes, I'd wake up in the middle of the night to find Emma sitting by the window, staring into the dark. She didn't cry anymore. That was worse. The silence between us had become louder than any scream. She stopped returning calls. From friends. From work. From the therapist I begged her to see. Even I became a ghost in her life, visible, but untouchable. One afternoon, I came home early and heard her talking in the bathroom. At first, I thought she was on the phone. But when I leaned in, I heard her whispering to herself, repeating one phrase like a prayer. She didn't mean to. She didn't mean to. She didn't mean to. I opened the door. She didn't even look at me. That night, I called her father. Emma had never spoken about him, only said he left when she was young. But I found him. He lived 3 states away, quiet life, retired, remarried. When I told him everything, he was silent for a long time. Then he said, "She used to do that to me too." I invited him to visit. I didn't tell Emma. When he knocked on our door, Emma stood frozen. Then she ran to the bedroom and locked the door. She didn't open it for hours. But when she did, her face was different. Tired, but lighter. They sat on the porch that night. I watched through the window as he told her his story. About Lydia. About how he escaped but left Emma behind. About his guilt. I think that's when something broke in her, but this time, in a good way. That was the start of her healing. It wasn't instant or dramatic. There was no single moment where everything clicked. But the next morning, she asked if I wanted to go for a walk. She held my hand again. She opened the window and let the light in. Weeks passed. She started painting again, at first for 10 minutes, then an hour, then whole days. The colors were dark at first. Violent, sharp strokes. But then they softened. Warmer tones. Hopeful curves. Art had become her therapy, her rebellion, her way back. One evening, she came into the kitchen and held my face in her hands. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, tears in her eyes. "You don't need to," I said. "Just stay." She nodded. But scars don't disappear. They just stop bleeding. One day, we got a letter. From prison. Lydia. I didn't want Emma to read it. But she insisted. It wasn't an apology. It was worse. A twisted letter that oscillated between affection and manipulation. She blamed me. Blamed her past. Blamed Emma for leaving her. For choosing a man over her own blood. Emma burned the letter in the sink. That night, we talked about having children. "I'm scared," she said. "I know. I don't want to become her." "You won't. Are you sure?" I kissed her forehead. "You already broke the cycle." We didn't rush. We waited another year. Moved into a new home, by the coast this time. She opened a small art gallery. I started working remotely so I could be around more. We filled the space with plants again. Laughter. Silence when needed. And finally, we had our daughter. We named her Hope. Because that's what Emma had lost, and found again. Sometimes, I see Emma watching Hope sleep, and I can almost hear the war she's still fighting inside. But she's winning. Every day she chooses peace over pain, love over fear, truth over legacy. And sometimes, I sit alone on the porch and think about Lydia. About how a mother can become a wound instead of a womb. How power, when disguised as love, becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. But then I look at my daughter. And I know the story didn't end in tragedy. It ended in survival. It ended in freedom. Thank you for watching. If you've ever experienced something like this, someone trying to destroy your love, control your life, or poison your happiness, write your story in the comments. You're not alone. And healing is always possible.